You don't know.
1 second.
It's a black car.
1 second here.
The officer detained her and eventually convinced her to go to his home, where inappropriate actions took place. After the body cam video went viral, the FBI launched a deeper investigation into Lee's actions. They discovered that he had manipulated multiple women in similar ways, often leveraging his authority to make advances. If you think Officer Brian Lee is the only cop a pretty suspect ever tempted and succeeded, meet our next suspect, Officer Sean Sherman, who went viral after appearing in a model skit. On April 27, 2024, the internet exploded over a viral video showing a woman attempting the most ridiculous get-out-of-jail-free move.
I knew you were getting pulled over. Told you you were going too fast. Nobody listens to me. How do you think that you're going to get a ticket? You're not going to do that. No, you're not.
No. I actually don't have it in this car, but what if I show you the... Oh, what if you text them?
Featuring model Jordan Sweat. But the real concern is that Officer Johnson wasn't just pretending. He's actually Officer Sean Sherman of the Metro Nashville Police. As if it couldn't get any worse, he was actually on duty. Officer Sean lost his badge and was charged with 2 felony misconduct charges. While this might have been staged, a very similar incident happened in real life. An on-duty officer was caught on body cam kissing a suspect inside a police car. The video shows former Chief Timothy Escola, who was married at the time, cozying up, kissing, snuggling, and caressing the woman, who was a burglary suspect. The footage outraged the small Ohio community, with many calling for his dismissal. The officer was eventually fired. The scandal has sparked violent backlash and renewed criticism of police conduct. Suspect in the back seat. On August 14th, 2023, Officer Anthony Hare of the San Diego Police Department responded to a call to assist other officers in arresting several individuals suspected of car theft. After the arrests, Officer Anthony was assigned to transport a female suspect to the Las Colinas Women's Detention Center. However, halfway through the trip, the officer decided to have a quick one with the female suspect.
Listen to him.
Alright, go ahead and stand up for me. Yeah, maybe it's easy.
Just roll over first, yeah. Roll over.
And then bend that up there. And then you kind of
Wait, can you get the other one?
Yeah, hold on one second.
I'm a little heavy.
Alright, when you weapons. Okay, we're just gonna go to my car right here, okay?
Follow me. Is this car again?
On the other side of my car.
Can I put on my shirts?
Yeah, you can.
Alright. You're gonna come with me to my car. So let's go.
He said it. You heard him when he said it.
Oh, let's go.
About asking me.
Yeah. This way. Walk across the street.
Not even. He said he was gonna ask me. What's that? Why are you the only mean one?
I'm not mean.
Bro, you're the only dick right
No,
here.
we can
Honestly,
talk more once we get into the car, okay? I got your,
sorry for calling that, but
I got your duffel, not your duffel bag, but the drawstring bag. I got all of that. Your makeup. So.
not really. Like, when you're doing your
nice
job,
to
I
you.
understand. You're doing it. But why you say it like that? I just want.
Go, step inside.
I'm gonna unput.
Put your feet inside. Perfect. Just a little bit more. I don't want to pinch your skin. Alright.
On the way to the station, the female suspect started flirting with Officer Anthony Hare, asking about his personal life. Instead of staying professional, Officer Hare played along.
Why are you asking that? What do you mean? I'm cool to you.
That's South on here.
I'm not too sure. I'll tell you later. Me? Once in a while. Whatever. Hold on, it's a turn. That's good. It's very loud. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't because of the wind. no. So everything has to be. Yeah. It's not lost or anything. You just have to go pick it up after. Yeah. Wait, hold on. I'll tell you after. Hold on. A little bit. Well, I can't hear you now. Don't say that right now. No, I said don't say that right now because everything's being recorded right now. What's going on?
After Officer Hare asked what was going on in the back seat, he made the suspicious decision to turn off his body cam. What he didn't realize, though, was that the police cruiser's GPS was still running, tracking him as he slowed down, turned onto a quiet residential street, and eventually came to a stop. Arrived and unlocked the back door, revealing Officer Hare alone with the female suspect. The supervisor turned off his body cam. He didn't want Officer Hare to incriminate himself.
Step out of the vehicle for me.
30 minutes later, Officer Hare returned to the scene with the female suspect and unlocked the back door to the station.
then that's when she was able to sit up here, and then I told her to stay there. And I was just like hunkering down like this on my side.
When they go to the other side, then you climb back in. Okay, go ahead. Begin. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Or
Then when I came in like that, I was trying to pick her up. My feet wasn't this, my feet didn't become that. And then when I was like picking her up, that's when I noticed that this door closed on me. And then that's when I was like frantically trying to open the door, but I know there's no door opener. And then from then she was able to, so I was like this majority of the time. I was trying to get her up because her face was right here. Okay, right here. And then I was trying to like wake her up to get her up. And then next thing you know, I hear the door close on me. I was frantic, I was looking, and then that's when she started to kind of like, I guess, wake up and get dazed off, whatever. And then that's when I asked her like, hey, are you having a hard time breathing? She said, no. Do you need medics? No. I was like, okay, all right. Just stay right there. And then that's when I was trying to open the door. And then that's when I went on D2.
all right, you can jump up.
Do you mind?
That ends the video.
I don't know, I took it like, I don't know how to take it.
So they asked you if you were signal.
I don't know, I was confused with what the heck, how I should answer that. I don't remember what words he was saying. I don't remember what it was. I swear I don't remember what it was. But I do remember. I think he might have used to the back. I think maybe the DC to get back to him, but he didn't want to stand up. Obviously, because he didn't want to say anything. So he opens the back door. He gets out, opens the back door. He says if it's door shut. I think it was just stupid.
You said you believed he used as an excuse to get into the back seat. What do you mean was the reason why he did
Why else would I he was scared. I think he was scared.
that, like, if you and him had a conversation and comments were made, that someone might listening might interpret like really
Oh,
you know, anything that someone might think about comments or sexual
Officer Anthony insisted nothing had happened, and the female suspect backed his claim, but no one believed him. A month later, he resigned. Detectives, however, found bodily fluids on Anthony's belt, and his body camera recorded moaning from the back seat. An internal investigation revealed he had violated at least 7 department policies. Meanwhile, Officer Hare was allegedly invited by the suspect. If you think Anthony Hare is bad, wait until you hear about an officer who was caught kissing a suspect while on duty after he was involved in an accident. On January 1st, 2021, Officer Shutterly responded to a car crash in Gainesville, Florida, involving 2 vehicles. One of the drivers turned out to be Mr. Barrett, a drunk man who also happened to be her ex-boyfriend. Things took a shocking turn when Officer Shutterly treated the other driver unfairly simply because they had hit her former lover. Even more outrageous, she kissed Mr. Barrett right there at the scene, in the middle of her investigation.
Okay. And you are Silver Car? Okay. If you want to go back over there, I'll come get your info in just a second. So,
Reach down for my lighter.
you didn't want to do an information
He
exchange?
does. No, now I found it.
Okay. Please, scales off. You can come give you a ride. You want me to let him know you found the insurance? Well, maybe you should not do that. So, you want me to let him know you found your insurance, see if he wants to do an information exchange?
That's fine.
So, he mentioned you guys had talked about exchanging information, but he hadn't had his insurance pulled up. We have a couple options with this. It's really cut and dry. So one, do you mind giving me like a couple feet? One, because I like personal space, and 2, because cigarette smoke, it tears me up a little bit. Give me just, like I said, it'll probably take me about 15-20 minutes, and then I'll get that done for you, okay? Alright, Bernie, you want to start forward? You got your driver's license? I'm guessing the car's registered to you?
wait for her supervisor. Barrick, calm but curious, asks if her body camera is on. After several tense minutes, Officer Shutterly's supervisor finally arrives. You'd think she'd step in and handle things professionally, but instead, she does the complete opposite.
Okay. I think they're with him. Okay.
You're the people I ran into. They in the car. She wants to do DUI. Do it. Is that gonna put you in that spot? Is that gonna put her in that spot?
23.
He made me aware of
Well aware. Fair enough.
We have any spare
Yeah, like never.
entire web.
Everyone's in that spot.
3 people from his crew that are
Absolutely 100% right. They still sitting in their car.
somebody in the driver's seat. Little silver car.
And are they there because she told them?
Just something walk up.
No,
I really don't know.
I don't know.
I could go
If she
ask,
told them-
but-
If she told them that I'm law enforcement, that's 100%.
Maybe they're getting a ride.
I don't know. Down for a later.
Because he was still on the call. Is he ready to go? Yeah, he's good. Okay, so you're just hanging out? Yeah, because his car's all jacked up on the back. So we have a hotel, or what is he doing exactly? I think his sister is coming to pick him up. I think so, because she was here earlier and took his brother, and then now I guess he's taking him.
Tired and pissed. Do what you gotta do.
Well, we're gonna go to the back of Sarge's car.
Okay.
That's where we put orders.
Okay.
That's where those level grounders, and there's a
Okay.
line.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna check on these because they're bothering me. Okay, that makes sense. I'm just about Aaron. Are you just hanging out? Picking them up, or I want the passenger in this car? Okay.
Exactly.
What's going on with the driver? Okay, so you're seeing what's going on with the driver, and then he's gonna do what are you doing with the car? That's what we're trying to wait on to see what he's doing. Okay. Okay.
The supervisor is clearly corrupt. She targeted the victim instead of the suspect. It's a blatant abuse of power and a disturbing sign that something is deeply broken in the police system. Instead of holding the guilty accountable, she's harassing innocent people to protect her friend. This isn't justice, it's corruption, plain and simple.
I'm going to check your eyes. These are my glasses if you have them. Keep your legs still and follow the stimulus. Do not move your head. Do you understand the instructions? Here. Alright. We're going to do the walking curve now. So, if you could, I'm going to have you stand on that white line. Face me. Alright. You're going to put your left foot on the line. Put your right foot in front of it with your right heel touching your left toe. Keeping your hands at your side like so. I'm trying to find the most flat spot.
I'm trying.
Alright.
But I mean, it's leaning.
Here, let's do it this way.
I'm good.
Go ahead and stand here. We'll do it this way. You're gonna stand like this until I advise you to do otherwise. Do not start until I tell you to. Do you understand the direction? You may begin the test.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you.
Do you want to finish?
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Birdie. So at this time, I'm asking you to come with me to the station to provide a breath sample. 10-8 BTOs unless Guyton is able to brake. I really would rather not take him up to DOJ and do it in their BTO room. Huh? I'm a BTO. Are you? Yeah. That makes my life infinitely easier. Yeah. You want me to call him?
Just because,
Yeah.
they tell them to meet you at the station.
Yeah.
DUI is supposed to be safe, but being reasonable small.
That was what I was hoping for.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's right. Where's the stand? Sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Here's what we got, though. This is the game plan for right now.
I know you did. And you should. I never asked you to.
You're gonna ride with me. No. Give me a second, Brandon.
I'm sorry, too.
You're fine.
No,
Absolutely, you're
I'm fine. I'm sorry.
No, you're not these people. That's fine. But we already know what the game plan is.
Your keys are in the bag.
Don't light them off, Brady. Alright, I'll give him a call. He's driving. Because that's wrong. Okay.
I'll have to grab my front seat.
No.
No, that's fine. Take him around to your driver's side.
Yeah.
There you go.
Listen to me.
Put them on.
I'm not gonna cuff you.
Oh, yes, you are, because they're watching.
No.
Yes, you are. They're watching.
Okay.
We'll cuff you over by my car.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
They're watching.
Yes.
You've been compliant. Can I at least cuff you in the front?
Yell.
I know. My fault, not yours.
It's got the hinge locks.
Okay. Good to go?
Hello, 434 all units to 14.
Valdez has to come along. Valdez has to come along.
When they went to the police station, the supervisor conducted a breathalyzer test on Corporal Scott Baring, which showed a high blood alcohol content. As a result, Corporal Scott was arrested and charged with DUI, and he had to pay a $2,000 fine. When news of the incident went viral, all 3 officers were fired.
My daughter's missing. I guess she never made it to school this morning.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
This is not like her. I pounded into her head since she was little not to get into cars with strangers.
I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in.
The second I pulled her into my car, I knew she was dead. Random place, random time, random everything. I am a monster for what I've done.
A quiet Colorado community is stunned when a 10-year-old girl vanishes on her way to school. Chilling discoveries over the coming weeks turn a desperate search into a grim homicide investigation, until the shocking moment a teenager confesses to police. The only problem is the critical evidence that says he had nothing to do with it.
I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car, and I will answer all the questions that you want to ask.
The following report is based on official police records, and most of the footage has never been seen before until now. On the afternoon of October 5th, 2012, a desperate mother in Westminster, Colorado calls 911 to make a heartbreaking report.
My daughter's missing. I guess she never made it to school this morning.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
Okay. Could she be with a father or anything like that?
No, her father's in Missouri.
When did you last see her?
This morning when she left at 8:30.
Did she walk?
Yeah. And I checked her friend's house that she walked in. They're not answering the doors.
Okay. She doesn't have a phone or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Does she have a bike?
Yeah, but she doesn't ride it to school.
Well, have you looked?
Have I worked?
Looked for her. Have you looked for her anywhere?
I went up to the school, and my sister's walking up to the school the same way that she walks with her dog. And I went to her friend's house and kind of looked around at the park that's down the street. There's no kids there.
Okay. What's your daughter's name?
Jessica Bridgeway.
News of 10-year-old Jessica's disappearance will soon grip the entire community, but in the early first hours, it's the family that police need to speak to, including the other 2 residents of the house, Jessica's aunt and her grandmother.
How are you guys holding up?
I don't know. I don't think her mother's doing well. This is kind of scary.
Yeah.
She never does things like this. She's a good kid.
Yeah.
Jessica's not really one to want to even run away. She's pretty a homebody.
She pretty, okay, she's, I know, kind of a homebody, but is she like pretty adventurous too?
I don't think so.
According to Jessica's mother, she packed her off for school that morning at 8:30, bundled up for the snow, and went to bed after working the night shift. It wasn't until approximately 4 o'clock this afternoon that she woke up to see that Witt Elementary had called with an unsettling message. Jessica never showed up to school that day.
And then I got in the car and I drove over to her house and knocked on the door and banged on the door and nobody answered. So I drove up to the school and went inside and saw that the office was closed. So I turned around and left and drove back to her house and pounded on the door again, rang the doorbell. And nobody answered. And so I drove home and then I called 911.
Does she know like the house phone number?
She knows our house phone number by heart.
Does she?
She's not real clear on our address sometimes. So she transposes the numbers.
Oh, does she? Does she know like your guys' cell phones at all, or just the house phone?
Just the house phone.
What do you think?
I don't know. I have no
Jessica
idea.
could be.
I don't know. This is not like her. Got pounded into her head since she was little not to get into cars with strangers, so I don't think she would do that. I mean, in my mind, I think maybe she started off towards school. She missed, so she went heading on to the school too. She got to school late. Maybe the door was locked, so she decided to go back home. But I don't know how she would go back home, and obviously she didn't.
The Ridgway family insists that it would be wildly out of character for Jessica to simply take off, and the lack of answers invites darker possibilities.
I've just been so afraid this is going to happen sometime, and now it did.
So why were you afraid this was going to happen?
I just always worried that somebody would take one of my children or my grandchildren. I mean, I worried about the girls when they were little too. And then walk to school. I just worried.
So that's what you think has happened here?
I don't know. I mean, that's the worst case scenario for me. I'm hoping that she's lost or in a culvert or someplace and can't get out and she's hurt and cold. My mother's convinced she's under some bush somewhere. I'm stymied. I mean, I'm hoping nobody abducted her. I mean, that fear's there that somebody abducted her because she just disappeared and she never does this.
God forbid someone grabbed her or something, what do you think her reaction would be?
I think her reaction, if it's somebody she didn't know and they just grabbed her, she would start screaming.
Would she?
Okay, good.
In their determination to bring up anything that might be relevant, the family mentions some recent troubling incidents in the area.
One day she said there were some people standing at the park that were just like standing there by the tree, and it made her nervous, so she came home. It was like 3 weeks ago. She said they were just standing there like this by the tree.
At the beginning of the school year, or maybe it was the end of last year, they had that suspicious person up at the Kettner Lake, and we had talked about making sure never to talk to anybody you don't know, and kind of usually reinforce it about every couple weeks, every month.
What do you remember about that suspicious person?
I don't remember. It was, they sent home like a letter saying there was...
The school did?
Yeah.
In May, a woman reported being attacked by a man wielding a chemical-scented rag while jogging at the nearby lake. Though she fought him off successfully, he fled the scene and the police have yet to make an arrest.
Hey, so these are some pictures of a girl at 120th and Washington in a Circle K gas station.
Okay.
It looks similar to Jessica. I can't really tell, unfortunately. The picture isn't real clear. Do you mind just looking at these and tell me what you think here? I know those are bad pictures, but unfortunately that's kind of the best we can do.
It looks similar. And that's kind of how she keeps her hair.
What's kind of your initial reaction when you saw those?
I would say it's closer to being her than not being her.
But you didn't think that was your daughter when you first saw them?
Not right after the bag.
Unfortunately, the lack of solid information leaves Jessica's family reeling.
Oh, please God, please God, please God, please God. God, what was she doing? Can you please find her? Can we please find her? Can we please find her?
The search for Jessica Ridgway becomes the top priority of the Westminster Police Department, but the little girl is nowhere to be found. 2 days after her disappearance, however, a man in neighboring Superior, Colorado finds a backpack on the street outside his house that matches the description her mother gave police.
It's gray with pink flowers on it.
Inside the backpack are Jessica's distinct purple glasses, school books, clothes that smell of urine, and a water bottle that says Jessica Ridgway on the side. The finding is disturbing, but it's not until October 10th, 3 days later, that several sanitation workers happen upon a far more horrifying discovery while picking up trash on the side of the road, miles away from where Jessica was last seen.
And I just seen that black bag. I said, well, that must have fell out of somebody's pickup or blew out of somebody's pickup or something. Our job's to pick up the trash. Well, I walked over, picked it up. Herman was maybe 30 feet from me, west of me. And I said, what the hell? It was 30, 40 pounds, but it's only that deep and it's a bag that's this tall. So what could be so heavy and so small?
He was like, man, I went to pick this bag up, and he was like, it didn't feel right. So we, start looking at it, and my friend Bobby, he gets like the broom handle, and he starts, poking at it. He didn't touch it, but he starts poking at it. He's like, man, I think that's something.
Did it look like that bag had been out there for quite a while, or? No, because me and Herman both said, when a bag's been out there for even a couple of days, it's got dust on it, it's got dirt, it's got the dew in the morning. Them look brand new out the box, in the ditch.
It was gooey on the bottom of the bag, like liquid was in there. But the sound of it, the top of the bag sounded hollow.
I opened it, and I thought, there's another identical bag, only it's rolled up tight in the bottom. And it's the same bag, but rolled up. I said, this ain't right. Something just ain't right. This isn't trash. And he asked Herman, got a knife? I said, I don't have a knife. And Herman had a box cutter knife, with the one with the razor blade. And he took it, slit it open, and that's when we just seen it.
And then that's when we see like the torso. And then I seen like if the arm was missing, the bone that was sticking out. And then it was also split right down the middle, but all the insides were missing. So my friend Bobby was like, man, I think I'm gonna call the police.
2 days later, the Westminster Police Department confirms that the remains indeed belong to Jessica Ridgway, turning the search for the missing girl into a homicide investigation. The news shocks the community, even as the discovery leaves a lasting scar on the men who found it.
I don't want to see another black trash bag. Dude, I'm not even going to go down the street, ever. But just seeing there no head, no arms, and no legs. It had to be hard. It had to be hard for the person that even did it.
The police find something else in the bag, a cross with strange markings carved into the side of the wood. And with samples they've obtained from Jessica's remains and backpack, they develop a DNA profile of an unknown suspect. But before they can identify a match, an unexpected phone call to the FBI sends the investigation in a new direction.
Why did you initially contact the FBI?
Well, because I really felt like I knew who had done it.
Who done what?
Who had abducted Jessica Ridgway.
Okay, and why did you feel that?
I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I think some of it was really intuition. I'm a mom, first of all. I'm kind of a paranoid type of person, I guess I would say. Well, not really paranoid, I guess. I'm just aware of my surroundings. And I believe that you can tell somebody by their eyes,
The woman says she's grown suspicious about the teenage son of her neighbor, Mindy.
Mindy had texted me in July. She says, Austin graduated today. I said earlier or something. And she said, yeah. She says he dropped out of high school, took his GED, and he's going to school in the fall to become a mortician. And I thought, what kind of kid drops out of high school to go to be a mortician? And the cross thing was a big part because that's something that he wore a lot of that kind of jewelry, like the hemp necklaces and rope necklaces and stuff with the crosses on them. Mindy had posted on her thing this picture of this project that he had done. And she said, I guess it was something that was at the Museum of Nature and Science or something like that. And she says, I've got it on my phone. What's the fastest, least messy way to dispose of a body? And she says, Austin knows.
The FBI is already canvassing the neighborhood, and when they receive the woman's tip, they quickly interview Austin and collect his DNA sample.
And then she texted me right after and said, Austin just gave his DNA to the FBI. This is getting crazy. And they told me, play stupid.
Well, that's at 19.
And I said, what? And she says, at least they can rule him out now. Should be the end of it for us.
Unfortunately for the investigation, this is exactly what happens. Austin Sigg's DNA is sent to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and like the hundreds of other samples that have been collected, it's not a match for the evidence. It's another dead end, and the hope of catching Jessica's killer grows dimmer than ever. That is, until the evening of October 23rd, 18 days after the little girl's disappearance, when a 911 call changes everything.
Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgway murder.
And what's going on there?
Ma'am, you not hear me? He just confessed to killing her.
I know. I want you to tell me what's going on. Can you tell me exactly what he said?
That he did it, and he gave me details, and her remains are in my house.
Did you see them?
No.
Is he there with you?
Yes.
Is he cooperative?
Yes.
How old is your son?
17.
What is your son's name?
Austin Sig.
In a bizarre twist, the very individual that investigators just cleared is now apparently confessing to the murder, and the 911 operator strives to get more information.
Do you think that Austin would talk to me?
Will you talk to? Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Hello.
Is this Austin?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Austin. This is Molly at the Westminster Police Department.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on right now, or how you're feeling, or how did this come about?
I don't exactly get why you're asking these questions. I murdered Jessica Ridgway.
Okay.
I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car, something down here, and I will answer all the questions that you want to ask, or anyone wants to ask of me as soon as you gotta get down here.
Okay.
The teenager will more than live up to this promise as the evening unfolds, but for now, the operator has to determine what kind of situation the police will be walking into.
Do you have any weapons in your house?
I do, but I plan to use absolutely none of them. I will be sitting in my front room when the police officer, or I'll be right next to my mother. I have knives in my room, and we own a few guns, but I'm giving myself up completely. There will be no resistance whatsoever.
All right, Austin. Well, like just like I said, I am sending you a police officer, okay? But you have to understand that you know, we take this stuff very seriously, and like I said, you did the right thing by calling.
I would have to hope that you would take this serious, because this isn't.
I absolutely am taking this serious.
Can you please hurry up? I need to call his dad.
Ma'am, I understand you want to call your husband, and I'm sorry, but I would like to keep you guys on the phone just until the officers get a little bit closer.
Well, how far are they?
They're going to be there in just a few minutes. Can I get
we can stay on the line, but do you have to keep asking questions?
Okay, no, I don't. Mom, can I just get your name?
My name is Mindy.
And Austin told me he's going to be taking like classes at community college.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of classes is he taking?
To be a mortician.
He wants to be a mortician. Okay.
The operator tries to keep Austin's mom, Mindy, calm as police make their way to the address.
Mindy, take a couple deep breaths for me, okay?
Yep.
Is Austin still there with you?
Yeah, I'm hugging him.
Okay, you guys are hugging? Okay, you definitely did the right thing. You tell me when the officers get there. They're coming to your front door.
I know.
Are you with the officers, or what?
No, they're not here.
Okay. Is Austin still calm? How is his demeanor right now?
Hurry up.
I'm trying to get them to hurry, okay? Like I said, we're getting officers there as quickly as we can. Is Austin okay with you right now?
Yeah, he's just getting really anxious, and so am I.
Okay.
With me again. Oh.
Can you hear me?
They're here. They're coming up.
Police arrive at the Sig residence and immediately take the 17-year-old into custody.
Hey, Austin. I'm Oscar Stetson. What's up?
Anybody else in the house?
Hey, Austin. My name is AC, okay? Right now, I'm just going to put you in cuffs, okay? Just for... Do you have any weapons on you? Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think that this will in any way bring any comfort to the Ridgway family whatsoever by seeing me brought to justice at all?
Well, I don't know the family, so I would say in my experience, people like some closure.
Well, this is all I can give, so I hope it'll do.
If Austin is to be believed, the Westminster police finally have their suspect. The only issue is whether or not they should believe him at all.
So in your experience, how long does it usually take to get the DNA test back?
I would expect somewhere between 9 and 36 hours, somewhere.
Wow. They came Friday night, the FBI, and took the swab.
Okay.
DNA swab.
I'll keep mine. They're not open on the weekends.
Gotta love it, right?
Or the government.
That just seems wrong, because, I mean, when you're hunting down someone like me, you would want those results back as quickly as possible and then close on the weekend, too. But it's a relatively automated process.
At the police station, detectives first speak to Austin's mother, Mindy, who seems scarcely able to believe the nightmare unfolding before her eyes.
I was still in a towel, and I don't remember why I sat on the bed. I'm sure I was telling him something unrelated, and he said, "Mom, I gotta tell you something."
This is while he's still in the bed?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting there beside him?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what he told you?
I don't know.
It's really hard to just to deal with this whole thing right now. I understand this whole concept of this is pretty hard.
I want to help. I'm not sure I can remember. He had that look, that horrible look. I think the first thing he said was, "I'm a monster."
If the detectives are going to get to the truth of this confession, though, the details will have to come from Austin himself.
Can we start with just the bottom line is what did you tell your mom?
That I murdered Jessica Ridgway, and that I was responsible for her abduction and her death.
Can you talk to me now a little bit about what happened in this whole situation? Can we go ahead and start back on October 5th, which was a Friday morning?
I just remember I wound up finding a place over in her neighborhood where I could park where a car really wouldn't be noticed by anyone, just somewhere where all the fences were. Because, while I was driving, I was just kind of looking. And I saw her, and I found the place to park, and I parked, and I waited. And she walked by, I grabbed her.
Were you standing by your car when you did that?
I was inside my car, in the back seat. Because I had parked, and I had hopped into the back seat, and I grabbed her, and I put her in.
Okay. Do you remember where that was at?
Not exactly. It was random place, random time, random everything.
Well, when you went out that morning, Friday morning, which was early in the morning, and you drove over to Jessica's neighborhood, what were you planning on doing that day?
I had the intent of picking up any female that came across where I was. That it didn't matter what time, where, it just anything.
So you were out, for a better word, hunting?
Yeah, that's the only word I can think of. But
So when you initially took Jessica, you were actually in the back seat of your car.
yes, and then I zip tied her hands and her feet.
Did she come close enough to the car that you didn't have to get out?
Yeah, basically. I had to take one step, and that was it.
What was she doing when you did that? What was her emotional state?
She wasn't paying attention. She was messing with a snowball in her hands, and she actually still had the snowball in her hands when I was driving around. And
Well, what was her emotional state once you actually got her into the car and zip tied her arms?
Terrified.
What was she saying?
She was scared. She wanted to know if she was going to see her mom again. She wanted to know who I was, where we were going. And I wouldn't answer all of her questions, but I would answer some of them, like if she'd see her mom again, and I would lie to her and I would tell her that she would. And I would tell her that she'd be okay. And one of her concerns was getting back to school on time because her mom and her teacher would be angry at her, and I told her not to worry about it, that I'd handle them.
Austin is describing an abduction that has been front page news in Colorado for the better part of a month. Detectives sit down with his girlfriend Anna to see if the subject ever came up between them.
We're here about Jessica.
Well, tell me what you saw on the news about Jessica.
I just saw that she heard about her getting kidnapped and then finding the body, and that's about where I left off.
Okay. When was the last time you saw Austin?
Last week, Wednesday.
Last week, Wednesday. And have you and Austin talked about Jessica at all?
Not really.
What have you mentioned? You said not really. What have you mentioned about?
We were talking about how we couldn't think about how anybody could do that to somebody. That's pretty much it.
But Anna doesn't yet know that her boyfriend has admitted to his involvement in this horrific crime, and she certainly doesn't know the chilling story he's sharing with the detectives.
So after so long of driving around, I found a place to park where I checked her backpack and she had no cell phone or anything. And after that, I hopped back in the front of my car and I drove back to my house. And I hopped out of the car and I opened the garage door and I drove in and I shut the garage door behind me. Let her out of the back of my car. I undid the zip ties and I took her up to my room and I sat her in my room and I played Netflix on the TV for her. It's either like Family Guy or something. I don't remember. That's some cartoon. I just kind of sat there.
Austin tells the police that he left the room at this point to get Jessica a Coke and a microwave pizza to eat.
You actually went to the kitchen and got that for her?
Yes.
Would you leave her there?
Yeah.
Could she have gotten out? I mean, would you have seen her leave or heard her leave?
If she would have went by the window, then no. But any other way, then probably, yeah.
So this is on the second floor, right?
Yeah.
It's got a two-story home.
And she didn't put up any fight at all.
Austin's grim confession takes place against the backdrop of the conflicting DNA evidence, and his grandmother appears to think something else may be going on here.
Do you know why you're here?
Because there is my grandson seems to believe that he committed a murder.
Okay. And your grand...
That's what I understand. This is horrible. This is the most horrible thing. There's got to be something wrong. He's not this person. Well, maybe he made it up, like I've heard, I was talking about watching the cop shows and stuff, the cold cases, and I've heard about people, false confessions to be famous.
Sure.
Oh, maybe he did that. So I don't know. I don't know.
But despite the DNA dead end and testimonials from those who know him, Austin paints a vivid picture of Jessica's final moments that feels terrifyingly real.
After sitting there for probably an hour, maybe, I don't exactly remember, time kind of started feeling weird then. After that, I asked her to change into a pair of a shirt and shorts that I had, and I let her go into the bathroom to do that, and she came back, told her to put all her clothes in her backpack and get her backpack ready and everything to go back. And after she was done with that, I walked up behind her and I initially tried to use zip ties to strangle her, but those cut into my skin and didn't really work, and we weren't doing a job that we weren't doing it. So immediately, just without even removing the zip ties or anything, I immediately switched over to just strangling her with my hands.
How did you use the zip ties?
They weren't quite long enough, so I daisy chained two of them together and I wrapped them around her neck and I pulled it tight, but it inevitably tore through my hand and wound up breaking.
You actually have a mark on one of your fingers. Is that from the zip tie?
Both. Yes, on both ends. There's one.
On both of the index fingers right here, you have a little mark where those were from pulling on the zip ties?
Yes. When I choked her, I closed my eyes and I just said, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And then after she was dead, after she was, what I hope was dead, I put her into my bathtub, face down, and I made sure to fill it up with water to make sure that she was definitely dead. And then I cut off the clothes and threw them in a trash bag, and then I sat and I cried.
According to Austin, that was only the beginning of an unspeakably dark morning.
Why did you feel like you had to take her arms and legs and her head off?
Because I felt like it was the only way that I could conceivably hide the body, is if it was in more manageable pieces, I guess.
It's a stupid question, but why are you trying to hide the body?
As soon as I realized I was past the point of no return, it's either get away with it or go to jail forever, possibly be executed, possibly anything. I didn't know. I don't know what my future's gonna be.
So you're fully understanding the consequences of what you've done, and that's why you're dismembering the body?
No, that's not why. That's why I turned myself in. It's because I understand the consequences of what I would do. The dismemberment was from that forensic science class. We had learned about serial killers, stuff like that, and the successful ones always seemed to be the ones who were able to make the body disappear completely. My main goal initially was to make it so that there was no trace, no nothing, where it was just disappear off the face of the planet.
Is that something you thought about before? You were thinking about doing that to someone?
No.
How would you thought you were going to do that?
I figured with just the utility knife, because I know that you can go around the human skeleton fits together kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You get the right spot, they come apart.
He tells the detectives that he dismembered Jessica's body using the utility knife and an electric saw from the garage before stuffing her parts into several garbage bags and hiding them in a backyard pool shed. A couple of days later, in an effort to direct the search for Jessica to a different area, he left her backpack in a distant neighborhood.
I felt like that didn't work, and so I decided the day the torso part was found, I decided to take that specifically out of the pool house, and I brought it back up and I re-cleaned it and double bagged it and tried to make sure that I used gloves and everything. And I went and I just drove until I found a good spot where I could park for a minute or two, hop out, pull, just dump it off the side of the road and keep going. Because I felt like that was the biggest piece that I had to get rid of, because it was, I don't know, the worst.
But there was also a wooden cross found in that bag, an item Austin says he included as part of his devious ploy.
I was just walking throughout, and I walked into my room and I happened to see it just sitting there, so I cut it off with its rope, and I just made some random engravings on it with the blade, just to, in case.
What markings did you make on it?
Well, initially I was gonna go for something cryptic like 666 or something that would be very clear that it was religious and demonic, or something to get them on that.
Did you think that would distract them from you?
Right. If they're looking for a religious fanatic, I'm not one.
Okay.
And I mean, that's what I was trying to do, is make it so I didn't fit the bill.
Okay. Do you remember what the markings looked like that you did put on it?
I put the 3 little affections on the front, and then on the back, I think I scribbled a Z or an S. think it was like an S or just kind of back and forth.
And what did you use the carpet with?
The same utility blade.
That you'd used when you'd with the body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Austin says that he spent the week since the murder racked with anxiety, though it appears that his girlfriend didn't notice.
What about his attitude? How has he been in the last month? Is there anything different about him?
Not at all.
Okay. Does he have any injuries on him? You haven't seen any injuries. What about, has he seemed happier than usual or sadder than usual or anything like that? You noticed anything different about him?
It seems that even those closest to Austin noticed nothing out of the ordinary, but then again, perhaps the young suspect was practiced in maintaining an innocent facade.
Does anything else happen before today?
One thing I had forgotten about until the media had brought it back up is the incident at Kettner Lake where the young lady was attacked. That was me as well.
Okay. When you talk about the Kettner Lake incident, do you remember what you did on that case?
I remember I made chloroform. I parked my car there and I just kind of went and took a few laps around they have a little walking path that you can walk around, and I waited for what I felt was an opportune time, and I just walked past the lady who was just walking by herself, and then I turned around and I tried to grab her, and she knocked me to the ground, and I don't remember after that. I remember going blank again.
Austin says that despite his chloroform-soaked rag, the woman was able to fight him off, but his involvement in this earlier incident is made all the more surreal and heartbreaking by the fact that Jessica's mom mentioned it in her first sit-down with the police.
What was your purpose in grabbing this girl?
I don't honestly know. My intents were probably to do the same thing to her that I did Jessica.
While the police have yet to match the DNA from Jessica's remains to Austin or any other suspect, they have linked it to the Kettner Lake attack. Despite the lab results, it looks increasingly likely that the young man before them is responsible for both. And if this violence seems to have come from nowhere, a closer look reveals that there were signs along the way.
He had to go into therapy because...
Austin?
Yeah,
okay.
Austin. His mother found out that he was about 13, 14, something like that. They call it addicted to pornography. And
At age 13 or 14, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going, isn't this kind of normal for guys? You know?
But investigators will quickly learn that there was nothing normal about the content Austin was consuming.
Describe to me what it is that you've seen.
Like bondage, forced acts. I've seen like dismemberment. I've seen everything. Like,
what were the things that were turning on in your fantasy?
I mean, force, probably. I mean,
you talking about beating something? Or are you talking
being able to control what they do.
With this disturbing obsession hanging in the background, police are concerned that there may be more to Austin's nauseating story than he's admitted thus far.
Well, at some point you must have been thinking about having sex with this young girl, right?
I did, but I mean, she was a 10-year-old girl. I couldn't imagine. It was probably the first time that I haven't ever had a sex drive in my life that I can remember.
Well, why did you decide at that point that you had to kill her?
Because I felt like if I didn't, there was no way I could ever get away with it.
Get away with what?
Abducting a small child. I was so... I think the second I pulled her into my car, I knew she was dead.
If other things happened with her body, would that make this worse in your mind?
I think that Yeah, probably, yeah.
It's only at this point that the detectives bring up a detail that was never released to the public. The wooden cross wasn't just left with Jessica's remains, it had been inserted into her. Austin ultimately admits to this desecration, though he denies violating her in any other way before her death.
How long have you been thinking about doing something like this to a young girl?
I would have to say,
Maybe
and it wasn't even, had nothing to do with her age or anything. It was an easy target when she was laying there. All I could think of was, oh God, what have I done?
And what did you answer yourself?
I couldn't.
Did you know what you did was wrong?
I did, but I couldn't. I couldn't believe that I had done what I had just done.
What do you think society would think about what you did to Jessica?
I don't know about society because I've never really been that great with it, but I know that personally, I am a monster for what I've done. I couldn't find a better word to describe evil than exactly what
So did you say evil?
Evil, yes.
Austin has admitted responsibility for one of the most shocking murders in Colorado history, but a piece of the puzzle remains missing. That piece is soon found when investigators realize that Austin's original DNA sample to the FBI was lost, and his name was cleared in error. When they test a fresh swab, the result is a match. But even without that match, the evidence is impossible to deny.
Let's go back to Jessica again. What you talked about the torso part. What happens to the rest? What do you do with everything else?
Everything else, I moved then from out in the backyard because I felt like they had cadaver dogs or search dogs or something combing our area. And so I moved all those pieces from in the back of where the pool house was to where the detectives found me.
Where was that at?
Under my house, under a crawl space.
The remaining pieces that are in your house, what do you think is still in your crawl space?
The skull, the head, the arms, and the legs.
In a statement in court the following year, the judge overseeing the case said, quote, "Evil is apparently real. It was present in our community on October 5th, 2012. On that day, its name was Austin Sigg." Austin pled guilty to 15 charges relating to the kidnapping, murder, and sexual assault of Jessica Ridgway, the attempted abduction of the jogger at Kettner Lake, and possession of explicit material involving minors. Although being 17 at the time of the crime spared him for the death penalty, the judge sentenced him to life in prison for the charge of first-degree murder and at least another 80 consecutive years for the additional charges, ensuring that he will never be released. 1 year after her death, the Westminster community honored the young girl with the dedication of Jessica Ridgway Memorial Park, just down the street from where she lived. The dominant themes of the park are purple and green, Jessica's favorite colors.
Make pedophiles afraid again. I love it.
This 11-year-old girl talking about things that were done to her that shouldn't have been done. Developing, in certain areas. And
So one thing I want to note on is how close sex offenders live to schools around here.
oh God, I'm so rotten sack of shit. I am so sorry.
In Aberdeen, Washington, a city councilman known for his tough-on-crime stance and commitment to ridding the streets of dangerous criminals shocks the public when he's accused of committing an unthinkable and heinous crime.
So Riley, is the truth of what thing?
The following footage has never been seen before. Please note that this report is based on police records, and all persons charged with a crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. 39-year-old Riley Carter began his campaign for city council in early 2023, promising an aggressive approach to cleaning up the city of Aberdeen. In January of 2024, he began serving as an elected official. However, on July 30th, 2024, a jaw-dropping accusation by his stepdaughter sends police on a search to arrest him, sending shockwaves through the community.
Walk in, just your word. Everything we have is audio video recording. We got these fancy body cameras now.
After police locate him walking alone down a residential street, he's led in handcuffs into a small interrogation room by a detective who's determined to find out if there's any truth to the horrifying claims. Shockingly, it was his own wife, Maya, who initially confronted him about the disturbing truth his stepdaughter revealed.
I started freaking out on him, like, how could you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Kind of a thing. And he was just really calm and said, no, I didn't do this. And I hung up, and then he just took off. I guess he just left.
Did he say anything to you about it?
He just said that he didn't do it. He swears up and down he didn't do it.
Due to his status as a city councilman, the Aberdeen Police Department requested the investigation to be handled by the Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office in an effort to avoid a conflict of interest. After reading his Miranda rights, the interrogation begins, but Riley has yet to realize the source of the allegations. Riley explains he had a typical morning, but everything changed when Maya arrived home.
And then I heard the front door open and shut. And so I come out and I have this, and she has by the hand, and then she's walking out the door, and I asked, well, what's going on?
When Maya left with no response, he called her cell phone for an explanation. She accused him of committing an unthinkable act and hung up the phone. However, as Maya explains, their conversation continued over Facebook Messenger. When she realized she had no tangible evidence of his crimes, she decided to take a risk.
And I bluffed and said, I have you on camera, just seeing if that would incite anything out of him. And he just stopped responding to me at that point.
As Riley explains, Maya's anger over the situation was visceral, and he was left with a chilling command.
I go down to the basement, and she told me, so I did set up a rope. I thought about it. I really did.